Hello, lovely friends. I am glad you're back today for another session of our Book of Notes Journal the Word. We're going to have a 2-day project here, and this is day 1 of our color blocking. We are going to have so much fun with several colors of paint, and we are going to be doing what I call color blocking. Wait till you see the finished project. Let's just try this. I'm going to use acrylics, but you could do this with crayons. You could do this with watercolors. You can do this with markers. So whatever you have on hand, you can do this with. And I've just got a variety of artist brushes. I've got some water. I've got a couple of green colors. I've got a pink, an orange, and a yellow. And we are just going to have some fun today with our colors. So I'm just going to put a little bit of color out here. I don't need too much. Don't need too very much for this process. But it's going to be fun, fun, fun. And I use a couple of greens because good greens are really hard to make. You can mix colors to get other colors, but a good green color is very, very hard to make a good green color. You can certainly mix blue and yellow and make a green, but it's very hard to make a good green, in my experience. So I kind of like to buy green paint already mixed. All right, so let me move these little bottles up and let you see the colors. I think they're on screen. Yeah, you can see the colors. So here I am waving my hands. Let's get started making some color blocks. And like I said, I'm just going to very lightly, and this is a permanent pen, I'm just going to come in and make some random kind of blocks. And this is kind of how I doodle. If you've ever seen any of my, what I call Zen doodles, I'm sure other people call those Zen doodles now, but once upon a time there was a thing called Zen tangles, and I never did much with the Zen tangles, but I did do some Zen doodling. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm looking at here. And I'm just going to pick up one of my brushes, one of the bigger ones, and start blocking in some colors. Let's just start with pink up here. How about that? Just going to color it in, just like color book painting. Absolutely like color book painting. And I want areas of darkness and light. So while this paint is still wet, I'm going to bring some white in here and mix that up and around. I'm loving it. And this was a permanent pen I used initially, so it's not going to hurt when I go over it with a watery paint. Just going to clean my brush a tad, not a whole lot, not a whole lot. There is still some of that pink on there, and I'm going to come in here to orange and start over here. Orange wouldn't necessarily be a great big blob of color in any of my paintings, but today that's what's going to happen. Let me get some white in there. Let me get a little bit of water on my brush. So that's kind of pumpkin-y, isn't it? That's fun. I really like that. Well, let's get a little more darkness down in here. So it really is just like color book painting, coloring book painting, but just with using acrylics or whatever you've got on hand and a brush. But again, you could do this just as easily with crayons. Okay, so I'm just going to clean my brush a tad, not too much. And where am I going to go? I'm going to get a yellow next. And I've still got some orange on my yellow. So that's pretty cool. That's mixing and having fun. As usual, just have fun with these paints. Fun, fun, fun. I really want, more than anything, to help people understand that to get out of your own way. Just absolutely get out of your own way when it comes to painting. That's what your sketchbook is really for, or your journal. It's just to get out of your own way and get your thoughts down on paper and make them happy thoughts. It's not about anybody else or anything else or anywhere else. It's not about that at all. Don't worry if you get outside the lines, please. I was always a person who got outside the lines. Sometimes that was troublesome, but I think that's what inspired my creativity most, was getting out of lines. If somebody tells you when you're young you have to paint inside the lines, sometimes it just frustrates your creativity and makes you not want to paint anymore, and that's the saddest thing ever. So if I've got any teachers listening, don't ever tell your kids that. Let them paint outside the lines or color outside the lines. Okay, that's pretty cool in there, isn't it? Get a little bit of water. Get that edge right in there. Okay, so what am I going to do now? Let me see. I'm going to mix the dark and the light green. And maybe even get some yellow in there. And come in the middle here. And get a little bit more of that blue-green. And maybe a tad of white. Just to give it some difference. And acrylics, you have, a minute or two, depending on the brand. You have a minute or two to keep mixing colors around in here. And after that, it's pretty much done. So, okay, so what am I going to do? I think I'm going to mix some peach and orange. I am going to take the green off of my brush, clean it completely. And I'm going to mix some orange and pink and create a peachy-like color. So that's another thing you're learning today, is how to mix colors to come up with a different color. So isn't that pretty cool? Let me get some white and light in there. Okay, so I'm going to come in here with that peachy color and swirl it around in other places. Rebecca, what you doing? Remember, just have fun with this. Just have fun. And if you don't like something you did, come in and put some white over top. And I've got some green on my brush that's getting in there and giving me some muddy color. So let me add some of my yellow back. I didn't get my brush cleaned very well. But that's okay. That is okay. Let me come in and bring some of this yellow color into my other ones. I'm going to wet my brush just a tad and come in here and mix that around. I lost some of my orange, so let me add some of that back in. Okay, so I think you've got where we're going here. You can just keep building up layers and layers and layers on here until you're perfectly happy with everything you're doing. Let me get some white in there. Okay, guys, I'm going to put just a hair of that peach right in there. Just to give a hint. Just to give a hint. Of something else. I'm going to put that brush down, so I don't want to really clean it too well. And I'm going to come in, and I've still got some time to soften some of these areas. I keep wiping my brush off. Let me get a little more green back in there. Okay, so what are you going to do in these in-between areas, Rebecca? Good question. I was thinking about leaving them white, but I think I'm going to put a little darkness in there. So I think I've gotten just a tad carried away here. So I'm going to stop for now and call this day 1, and I will be back tomorrow for day 2 of this abstract color blocking background. So see you then. May joy be with you all.